Good evening. Thanks for watching HealthLine here on PBS Fort Wayne. I'm your host, Mark Evans. Do you like to eat? Yeah, I know I do. But we have to watch what we eat in order to maintain our weight and also to be healthy. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. And we're going to talk about how we can do it affordably. We have a couple of great people. I got to talk to them quite a while before the show started, but Adrianne Kartholl and Adam Gehring, both registered dietitians and licensed dietitians. And it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Yes,
yeah, it's great to be here.
You've both been guests on the show before, so you know how this goes?
Yes.
All right. And as a matter of fact, we're expecting some phone calls tonight. The phone number is on the screen, 866-969-2720. If you have any questions throughout this half-hour program, which we don't stop for commercials because we are public television, be sure to call in, whether it's for you or someone you love or a good friend of yours, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, what are the current nutritional issues and the biggest problem we face when it comes to nutrition in the United States right now?
Honestly, and Adam and I are talking, it's really the lack of information, but also the amount of misinformation that the public gets day to day. We as, a culture are inundated with nutrition advice from all different areas, oftentimes from individuals that are not really, properly educated in giving that advice. And so oftentimes, we will get, individuals that come to see us and they have been practicing or, doing things thinking that, okay, like this was the best thing for me to do. And we kind of have to, really go through and kind of ask them to forget everything that they have, heard or that they've, maybe followed from a certain person and kind of try to build that trust that, we are the experts as an RD. And so what we're trying to ask them to do really is based in evidence-based research. And so it gets to be really hard. It really does become difficult.
I bet it does. And I was doing some research a day or two ago about the #1 nutritional disorder around the world is a lack of iron, the iron deficiency. What attributes to that?
Well, I think that it's a lack of fortification in the foods that are available, and this is a worldwide issue. This is the #1 deficiency in the world, which is iron deficiency. In the United States, we have great fortification efforts to put it in different cereals and then many different products that we eat throughout the day. And so we don't have as much of it here, but it is an issue still for children, especially whenever they're having their checkups. With doctors' offices, they get their hemoglobin checked, and then recommendations can be made from there. And definitely within pregnancy as well, making sure that we're getting enough iron for those pregnant women.
What are some of the natural foods that will provide a good iron balance?
Yeah, some of the natural foods would be any of your animal-based protein sources, really. Those would be excellent sources of iron. And then just a lot of your fortified cereals are going to contain a lot of that iron as well.
Okay.
Even, we think about vegetable sources. Spinach is a really good source of iron.
Yeah.
One tip that we always say when we go back to our metabolism classes is the iron that is in vegetables. Actually, we need acid or vitamin C to help break that for that iron to actually be absorbed in the body. So we'll typically recommend to parents that if we're using an iron supplement or we're using plant-based sources of iron, that we are taking it with a vitamin C rich food. So oranges, strawberries, bell peppers, things like that to help better absorb.
Oh, very interesting. Very good. Well, the official title of our show is Affordable Balanced Nutrition for Everyday Life. And I love it because I'm doing a lot of my own preparation of food. I used to be a big fast fooder, out to dinner every nighter type of person, and now I've realized it's much better to prepare your own food and select your own food, and it's really helped with maintaining my weight as well and even losing a few pounds.
Yeah.
So where would we start? I would imagine that you would have to, before you go to the grocery store, you're going to have to do a little planning in order to make this successful, right?
Yes.
Expound on that.
Yeah, so I think the first step would be to sit down and actually just plan the meals that you want to eat every single evening, morning, and then your lunches that you're going to have throughout your week. And then making sure that you're hitting all of the food groups that are available to you. So you got your protein, you got your grains, fruits and vegetables, and then dairy. So just making sure that you're really adequately incorporating all of those different food groups into every single meal that you're going to plan. And then writing it all down. And then creating a grocery list from that. And then sticking to the grocery list as you go to the store, because that's going to be what's going to save you the most money if you're able to stick with that grocery list that you create.
And look at your ads. Most major retailers put out an ad on a weekly basis. And so, really look at what's on sale when you're, sitting down and deciding what the family or what you want to have to eat for the week, and build your meals around that. So, my favorite thing is if there's a particular protein is expensive, certain cuts of meats and things like that. So if we can plan our meals around those items that are on sale for that week, that also helps save money for individuals and families.
I know a couple of people these days who are doing a lot of prep cooking, and they go and they buy a lot of ingredients to make these 12, 14 servings, and they freeze it and all that.
Yes.
But I'm not sure if that's such a great, that's a great idea, yeah, but are you going to go eat that particular food that you've prepped every single day? Is that a good idea?
I think it really comes down to personal preference.
Okay.
If it's something that they really enjoy.
As long as there's a balance.
As long as there is a balance.
And work.
I'll be honest, if I, will make something at home that can be freezed, typically I will prepare 2 portions. I will also do large batches of spaghetti sauce, and I will freeze those into portions for my family. So that way, we actually did that tonight, be able to take it out of the freezer, heat it back up, make some whole grain noodles with it, a salad or a vegetable on the side, and we're good to go.
Oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Sounds great. What time's dinner? Oh, sorry.
Already out.
You already ate. Okay. The portion sizes, I'm sure, have something to do with it too, especially if you're trying to maintain your weight. But it's a tempting thing to do when you go into the store, you buy and you prepare this food, and it's so good if you're following a recipe or if something handed down from the family. But you'll want to eat it. So along with getting the proper nutrition, how important are the portion sizes in this whole thing?
It's crucial.
Okay.
In fact, I think it's almost everything to have the proper portion sizes. And then making sure that we have all the particular food groups. Once again, it comes down to, are you getting the protein? Are you getting dairy? Are you getting grains, fruits, and vegetables? And so here's a couple statistics that I did come up with.
Love stats. Go ahead.
So a really simple one is just 85% of Americans don't eat enough fruits and vegetables.
Right.
85%. So I'm speaking probably to at least somebody.
Yeah,
unless we're the 15%.
That's one of my weaknesses, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And then another statistic is just 90% doesn't get enough dairy throughout the week. And so I am going to go over just a handful of portion sizes just so that the audience is aware. So I'll start with proteins. That's a really simple one. So if we're eating a animal-based protein, a great portion size to shoot for is 3 to 4 ounces at a particular meal. So that can be 21 to 28 grams of protein, and it's actually about the size of the palm of your hand. So that is going to be an excellent portion size for protein. And then if you go on down to fruits and vegetables, the total amounts that we're going to want on average, this is just general information. For vegetables, it's about 2.5 cups a day of vegetables. And so I do encourage the audience to actually go out and grab a cup from your cupboard and see how big a cup actually is, because I think we have a distorted view of how big something is, or how small something actually is.
And honestly, a cup isn't that big. I'm eating a multigrain cereal each morning, and it's a cup and a third, and it's like, really? That's all I get? But when you add the milk with that, and you eat, you pace yourself, you don't gorge yourself, you don't, you're not going through it within seconds. You fill up a lot faster, and it stays with you longer.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a key to that. We've got a call coming in, and they're still retrieving that. We'll get to that in just a second. Do you have more stats?
Yes. So whenever it comes to fruits, you would definitely want to have 1.5 cups per day of fruit. If anything, we probably eat a little bit more fruit because it's on the sweeter side. People enjoy fruit more than they maybe enjoy vegetables. That's not everybody, but it seems to be the case in many of the people that I'm aware of. And then whenever it comes to grains, 3 to 6 ounces is a good range to shoot for. And some serving sizes of that would be like a slice of whole grain bread would be close to 1 ounce, maybe 1.5 ounces if it's a larger size piece of bread. A small tortilla, and then a cup of like ready to eat like cereal flakes or something like that. So that would be a good.
Those are some good ideas.
Yeah.
And one thing I like to encourage as well, to help fill up on fiber-rich fruits and vegetables, sometimes just a really quick, easy visual is to fill half your plate with fruits and vegetables at every meal.
Yeah.
And especially, if someone is trying to lose weight, you're filling up on a very large volume of food for very, much fewer calories.
So a lot of fiber there too, which helps.
And it helps keep you fuller for longer.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it can definitely be beneficial.
That is very important. All right. Adam, if you don't mind, we'll go ahead and take this call, and we'll resume with your stats if you have more.
Yeah.
Wesley is calling, and he wants to ask this offline. He'd rather not have be on the air, but he says he has a friend who drinks too much pop. What is the best method for them to cut back? And what is too much? Any amount?
I think, this is actually a topic I'm very passionate about.
All right, take the floor.
With the
You
added
got it.
sugars, just because, again, research is showing that, it leads to weight gain, it leads to insulin resistance, which is the precursor for type 2, diabetes. And so really, when we are so used to having something, if we try to cut cold turkey, that tends to be really difficult. We tend to crave, and then we go back and we get into this vicious cycle. And so, ideally, that over time we start cutting back. So if we're used to drinking 4 cans of pop a day, for the next week, we're going to just try to only drink 3. And then for the week after that, we're only going to try to drink 2, and we try to cut back. That sweet flavor, we get really used to that as human beings. And so we tend to crave, we want to go back to that. And so doing like a flavored water or something else that is going to be sugar-free will help kind of replace if that's something that they have a really hard time moving away from.
Well, what about diet pop? Is it...
So, the artificial sweeteners, they are recognized as safe by the FDA. And this is kind of how I like to explain it, is the studies that were done in the 70s and 80s, the amount of the artificial sweetener that they were giving to subjects, which were actually rat studies, they were significant. We, as humans, could not, if we were to, try to increase this or the dose of that up to something for a human being, there's no way that we could consume the amount needed to replicate the results of those studies every single day from now until the end of somebody's life. So when we think about, having artificial sweetener, they're also 300 to 600 times more sweet than table sugar. Yeah. The amount that's actually used is very small.
Oh, okay.
So really, again, if I have somebody that's going to choose between a regular soda and a diet soda, I would much rather they go with the diet option if that's going to help them stay successful.
Yeah, I read the labels on some of those diet products, and it scares me because it's potassium chloride this, and just the names of these chemicals they put in there. It's like, I'd rather not even go there. I don't want to consume those and put those in my body. But when it comes to nutrition and trying to stay away from sugar, the diet is better for you.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Everything in moderation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Moderation is the key.
Yes.
And I think another way to look at that too is just it's a step in the right direction. I think that the best thing would be to go to just like water, and I think water is the best thing.
Yeah.
You just can't beat it. And then, Adrianne was talking about flavored water and stuff. So you could put a lemon in there, you could put an orange slice in there. So you can just infuse it with something that you like the flavor and taste of. So everything's just kind of progressive. It's in a better direction, and that's where we would always want to lead the people that we're working with.
All right. If you're just joining us here on HealthLine, we're talking to a couple of registered dietitians, licensed dietitians, as a matter of fact, Adrianne Kartholl and Adam Gehring. here on the program tonight. We have another call coming in. I'll go ahead and read that. And this is from Harry. He says, how do you determine portion size for male and female with huge height and weight differences? Wouldn't a male over 6 feet and 200 pounds need more in portion size? Good question. Thank you, Harry.
So the answer for that is yes. And like I said, the portion sizes that Adam just went over were just a very general. You know, and so if we are, you know, looking at the needs, there are all these fancy equations that we use every day in our jobs to help us, you know, kind of determine, and nothing is an exact science. But yes, generally men they require more calories than a woman would. And so in those cases, if we have somebody that is really wanting, again, weight management, wanting to lose weight, ideally we would want to see them and be able to help them determine exact portion sizes for them. Again, if their portion sizes are too big, what can we do to help them be successful in cutting back in those?
All right, very good. Talking about as far as our topic is affordable, balanced nutrition for everyday life. And the phone number is on your screen. These registered dietitians know their stuff because we've done shows with them before. So give us a call if you have any questions. We were talking about hydration earlier. Is there a tendency if you are dehydrated that you tend to want to eat more or snack more? Is there a correlation there?
I think that there can be. I think that there definitely can be. I know that if you are dehydrated, even just like a couple percentage points dehydrated, your cognitive abilities go down. And so our bodies just don't function as well because our bodies are almost about 70% water in the first place. And so we're built pretty much of water, and then we have proteins and vitamins and minerals and everything else about the structure of our body. So yeah, I mean, if we were lower in water content in that moment, I think that it could definitely affect our ability to, you know, desire food or, you know, crave different foods because we wouldn't be functioning optimally.
Right.
So, absolutely.
Well, it makes sense to me that especially if you're trying to watch your weight, I know we're not specifically talking about weight loss tonight, but if you were trying to maintain or even lose weight, that you would actually want to drink more water because that would fill you up. I mean, does that make sense? Is there any scientific logic to that at all?
Yeah. You know, and I think too, just if we think about like hydration status, generally the very first sign that you are going to have of dehydration is thirst. And if you have that, that's kind of a sign right there that you're already dehydrated. And so sometimes people will also kind of mistake that as I'm hungry, and it's not that you're really hungry, you're thirsty, and your body is giving you that signal of I need that.
Yeah.
So.
Let's talk a little bit about processed foods. When I hear anything about processed foods, generally, up until I just got educated, all processed foods are bad. I mean, we're talking sugary beverages, chips, hot dogs, lunch meats, ice cream, packaged desserts, and instant soups and canned soups, a lot of sodium in those. But there are some good processed foods. So people should not stay away from those, especially when they're shopping, because one of the better processed foods is frozen fruits and vegetables. I mean, it's better than not having them, and you know, if you can't have access or if you can't keep fresh vegetables, and I have a habit, they go bad on me, but I buy a lot of frozen fruits and vegetables and keep those at home. The nutritional value, isn't it about the same?
So when we look at the freezing process, like they flash freeze, and it actually helps retain a lot of the nutrition. So if fresh, and we do live in Indiana, you know, we're in a really great season, but especially during the fall and winter, you know, if fresh is not available, frozen would be the next best choice.
And on the list of good or minimally processed foods are, along with frozen fruits and vegetables, salad mixes, dry beans, roasted unsalted nuts, whole meal bread, whole grain cereals, baked beans, things of that nature.
Oh, yeah.
So just if it says processed, it's not necessarily bad. It's just how it's processed.
Yeah.
And what I really encourage with that is, you know, when you flip a food product over, there's the nutrition fact label, and below that is the ingredient list. And, you know, often what I coach is, can you pronounce all the ingredients that are in your foods? And for that ingredient list to be as short as possible. And that's pretty a good telltale sign that what you have is minimally processed.
Okay, very good. We have another call coming in. In fact, it's from James. He's asking, what's the nutritional difference between eating whole fruits and drinking fruit juices?
Yeah, so the nutritional difference is going to be
Sugar, right?
Well, both of them are going to have sugar in them for sure.
Okay.
So whenever we actually eat the food, we are having to bite it, we're having to chew it, we're actually starting the metabolic processes in our stomach, and so it's going to have fiber in it generally, and there's just some of the phytochemicals that are maybe lost in the fruit juice itself, and so whole fruit is going to actually fill you up, and it's going to just be more satisfying. I think, in my opinion, it's just going to be a lot more satisfying to eat a whole fruit than just drink a fruit juice. I'm not saying that a fruit juice is a bad option, but if you do have the option of doing the whole fruit, that may be really good in that situation.
I think if you squeezed your own oranges and so forth at home, it's better. I'm not sure, I haven't done much investigation to try to see if I can find fruit juices that have not been added in sugar. Usually in the carton.
Yeah,
usually most of those have added sugars.
100% juice does not have the added sugar in it. And the other thing too is a whole piece of fruit is going to have the fiber. And
yes.
no matter kind of how you try to juice, you're going to lose the fiber. And that's when we're talking about feeling fuller for longer and just getting the most nutrition. That whole piece of fruit is going to give you all of that.
All right.
Yeah.
By the way, in just a couple of minutes, because we're coming to the end of the program, we're going to talk about resources for healthy meal and snack ideas. We'll give you some website ideas, which are excellent, by the way, and we'll have those for you. You might want to grab pen and paper. But, all right, so you're at a loss, and you might be interested in nutrition. A lot of people aren't. They just eat because it's a thing of sustenance or they enjoy eating. So the doctor says you need to really watch what you're eating. And then you're saying, well, I need a dietitian to help me out. How would you be able to get help from a dietitian?
So most healthcare providers, have access to dietitians, especially if they're part of a larger health system. And generally, it's just a referral that's needed. And that's something that your PCP or primary care physician can place for somebody to get scheduled with a dietitian. And that's where, again, they set the appointment and they get to meet with one of us. And we just kind of dive into, whatever it is specific to that individual that they need help with.
Okay, very good. So ask your doctor.
Yeah.
Ask your doctor.
They certainly have some resources. So the next question I have for you, foods to stay away from, like nutrition-dense foods, I guess is the way they phrase it. What are some of those foods that we need to stay away from as far as not getting any nutrition and they're just filler for the gut?
Yeah. So again, those foods that are really high in added sugar, so our sweetened beverages, a lot of the snack type foods, I call like snack dessert foods. Again, they're gonna have all that added sugar. It fills you up, but it doesn't fill you up with anything that really provides nutrition that your body needs, especially protein. And so oftentimes, when we try to eat those foods or we're having them on a continual basis, we feel hungry a lot. And that's where we get into, some of the hard part of over consuming. We're getting too many calories and again, leading to weight gain, leading to that insulin resistance, and we start to get in trouble.
So let's have some take-home points for our viewers tonight. You want to pre-plan your meals before you go to the grocery store. You want to watch your portions. What are some other things that folks need to know about food choices? What do we want to see on our plate? We want to see some protein. We want to see
fruits and vegetables.
Fruits and vegetables.
Eat your fruits and vegetables.
Half the plate is fruits and vegetables. That's going to be an excellent way to make sure that you're getting enough of those food groups in.
Yeah.
Because like I said, 85% of Americans don't get enough fruits and vegetables, and that's key to our health. It really is.
Okay.
And with that lean protein helps with satiety. It helps you feel fuller for longer.
Yeah.
Oftentimes I think that can get overlooked. And then again, those whole grains, they're going to be full of fiber as well. And again, just have more nutrition per ounce than a refined grain like white bread or white pasta.
All right. the resources for healthy meal and snack ideas?
Yeah, so a couple websites that we want to point the viewers to. One of them is going to be eatright.org, eatright.org. And that one is going to be our Academy of Nutrition. That's like our governing body as dietitians. That's the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, like public website for anybody to be able to look at. And it's got recipes on there. It's got all sorts of grocery list ideas, and then just handouts for how to eat healthy. It basically can answer almost any question that you might have in a general sense of how to be healthy, even with specific diseases that you may have.
And what's the other one, Adam?
The other one is choosemyplate.gov. choosemyplate.gov.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to cut you off there, but we got
all
those
right.
out, and hopefully those will be very useful to you. I know I'm going to do some research on those myself. We thank you very much.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
Both of you, Adrianne Kartholl and Adam Gehring, both registered dietitians and licensed dietitians, and we appreciate the information. Please come back again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Until next time, thank you for watching. Thank you for your phone calls. Until then, good night and good health.
PBS Fort Wayne was made possible in part by
Momentum, progress, innovation. Parkview Health knows standing still isn't an option. We must learn, grow, excel, and actively work to advance healthcare for our community and beyond. With technologies that improve access to care and teams of specialized providers, we are moving healthcare forward. Right here at Parkview Health.